All right, so if you want a new electric sedan under 70 grand, your options, I would say, are pretty limited. Like, obviously there's Model 3, but then what, right? Like, Lucid Air is far too expensive. Model S is discontinued. BMW i4 is also about to get discontinued at the end of the year. I guess there's Polestar 2. Oh, right. And then this. And this one, I think, is actually the most underrated one, because this Mercedes EV with CLA 350, I don't see a lot of them out on the road. And sorry, there's just gonna be a lot of New Jersey noises happening in this video, but that's normal. This, I don't see a lot of them on the road, and I don't hear a lot about them, but I think now that I've lived with it for about the last week, I'm impressed. I think it gets a lot of details right. It's really well equipped. It starts at $50,000, and this spec, as I'm testing it, is right around 65. Now, I do think there's a couple weird emissions, a couple strange shortcomings that are just a little bit short of what I would expect from Mercedes, but I'm also really impressed with some stuff. So let me walk you through it, and maybe it should be on your radar. So the basics, like I said, it is a fully electric sedan, 4 doors, dual motor, all-wheel drive. It has a 312-mile range, and it has about 350 horsepower, bringing it from 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds, and it starts at right around $50,000. So to just start on the outside, I think it looks pretty good. It's actually maybe kind of a little bit generic, like looks like a lot of the other Mercedes cars, but with a couple of accents to break it up and look a little bit more like a modern one, like this little arrow piece down here at the front grille, that's a little different. And you can see these headlights that light up, but the full headlight bar and taillight bar, all these little icons in here light up in the US, and even the Mercedes logo glows at night. No matter what you think of that, it happens. But I think the front looks just pretty safe and clean. Mercedes has been obsessed with efficiency in their EVs for a long time. Got these 19-inch wheels on here. I like these black wheels, but they do have a lot of chrome face as well. Then you get to the back, and this taillight, I think, is maybe its most attractive element. Again, lots of chrome, power opening taillight, but lots of little vertical accent pieces inside this taillight bar. This is the rear view camera, which is true about a lot of Mercedes cars, and this is a power opening trunk. Now, well, I didn't expect this to have a great front trunk. Maybe because a lot of EVs, even if they're built from the ground up, don't have a great front trunk. And this is also another telltale sign. When you have this little manual front hatch thing, you don't expect to find a great front trunk, but then you go over and open it, and you do. You get one. So that's nice. You could put groceries up here. You could put actually small bags up here. I haven't found a way to remove these little dividers that are in here by default, but it seems like you should be able to, in which case you could fit a whole carry-on bag up here in the front trunk in a pinch. So that's a nice little bonus, but you'll probably most of the time be using the real trunk. So I'll just go ahead and step back there, and this is the key fob. Wow, lightning fast focus from the Oppo X9 Ultra. But that's the real trunk, and it is plenty of space. A little bit of a shallow opening here, but that's no problem. Got your charger cable back here. You can fit tons of stuff. No sub trunk needed, because this is plenty of space here. A little net in the side for your adapter for your NACS port. That's nice. That's a totally normal trunk, and it's a power opening and closing rear trunk, unlike the front. So you'll probably use that most of the time. Now I want to show you something. First, really interesting, well-considered detail on this Mercedes EV. This is the charge port back here. You can pop it open. It opens motorized. 2 charge ports in here. NACS port and a slow charging AC charging port. So in the US, if you're at a slow charger, a level 2 charger, you can pop one of these in with no adapter. If you're at a Tesla supercharger, you can pop that in with no adapter. But this doesn't close. You have to manually close this, which is usually fine. Once you unplug, you'll manually close. But if you accidentally open it from inside the car on the touchscreen, you can't close it on the touchscreen. You have to get out the car and close it yourself. But anyway, once you get inside, that's when you start feeling the luxury of the Mercedes-Benz Advantage. And also that's when you stop hearing so many New Jersey noises, because the first thing that you feel when you get in is, oh yeah, it's quiet in here. It's well built in here. The materials are awesome in here. There's lots of little details, and this feels like that premium experience that Mercedes is obviously already really good at. So this is a brand new design for Mercedes, and I want to take this opportunity to give them some feedback on this new interior, because I think it's mostly pretty good, very detailed and very well optioned, again, for this price range, but there's some stuff that they should definitely fix/change. So Mercedes, if you're listening, here you go. First of all, the seats. I do really like these seats. They are nice. This is a brown leather interior. Not the spec I would choose personally, but obviously this seat is really comfortable. It's got the heating, it's got this huge bolstering, very well cushioned. Love that. And that's a theme for this car and how comfortable it is. Then you get over to the windows, and this is how you adjust the seat, like a lot of other Mercedes cars, with this nice texture, this knurling, and then this wood inlay, and then leather, and then faux leather, and then stitching, all of that. These materials are super nice. But then they do this cheap, like Volkswagen thing where you have the regular windows up at the front, and then you switch to the rear instead of just having rear window switches right there. I don't get why they do that, but they do that now. But I also have to mention that while I was driving, I did have some weird behavior with these window switches where actually I was driving, my window was halfway open, and I just pulled up and the window went all the way up and then started going back down again while my finger was still pulling it up. And I found it weird that it did that. I haven't gotten it to replicate that behavior while I'm parked, so it's hard to get footage of it, but whatever that is, I hope it doesn't do that all the time. Anyway, then there's the speakers, or sorry, the displays. So there are a whole bunch of screens up here at the front. You have the driver display here, you have the primary display, and then this optional secondary passenger display, which you pretty much never need, but it is there if you want it. And so this is the new software experience, the new MBUX, I believe 4.0. It is mostly pretty good. So obviously, if you're curious, it does have Apple CarPlay, and I've pretty much instantly turned that on. But if you want to use the software to do other things, especially car-related settings, it's mostly in here. Especially, this is something cool. So a lot of these cars are well equipped with things like an HUD at the front. You can turn that on or off. But then also over my head, you can see this sunroof, which is clear right now, but it also has the ability to tint certain sections of it with the electrochromic roof option. So you can go fully clear and it'll do it one section at a time. Or again, with the software, you can decide, I just want the middle to be tinted. I don't know why you would do that, but you can. So it's very responsive and that's super cool there. So all the settings from the car stuff work there. But again, another weird thing happening here. So it's got these Burmeister speakers. It's an option. They're about 800 bucks, totally worth it. They sound great. You've got your phone paired with CarPlay, you're listening to music, and then you want to just go to the next song, and you look at the steering wheel, which is it's nice Mercedes steering wheel, nothing crazy about it, but all you have is volume control. You don't have a next song or previous song. This doesn't do it. You have to go to the primary software and hit the software button there, or do it on your phone. There's no next song or previous song on the steering wheel, which I think is a mistake. So again, Mercedes, you can fix that. You know, I'm probably nitpicking, but this is the type of stuff that I think about when I live with this car, and it is $65,000, and there are little things that they can do better. This is the stuff you expect Mercedes to do well. So back seat materials, you know, maybe this door could open a little bit more, but not the end of the world. This is the 6'3" driving position I keep my seat in, and this is the legroom that I have. It's not a ton. I think if I was on a road trip, I would probably not love this high floor, high knee situation here. But you got a little bit of storage, you got your vents, 2 USB Type-C ports. If the person in front of you is a little further forward, then it's a little more comfortable. Not amazing for road trips. This headroom is starting to cut down with the sloping roof line a little bit as well. This is like a B- backseat. Very comfortable materials, again. The thing about Mercedes is they all have awesome materials, but not the most space while we're nitpicking. But, you know, you get this car, you're the driver, you're spending most of your time in the driver's seat, and they have thought a lot about that and optimized it pretty well. So, wireless charger here for your phone, 2 cup holders, and then a little bit of storage space here in the center with your charging opportunities, but not a lot of physical buttons, you may have realized. So you can adjust your vents like normal, but then no HVAC controls in here, no media controls in here, except for mute and a little bit of volume. But again, you could already do that on the steering wheel. So I would have liked a little bit more in the name of, you know, real buttons here for Mercedes. This center storage, I don't love that they cut off a lot of this storage space here with this huge top piece, but a lot of people are totally fine with that. You can throw some stuff under there. And then of course your nets and door bins. So it's a pretty standard Mercedes interior with a slightly updated design, but those are my pieces of feedback, because you gotta be able to just go to the next song on the steering wheel. But then there's driving this car, and that's again a big strength of Mercedes, especially over the other things you might be considering, like a Model 3 or any of the other cars under 70 grand that are electric. Huge perk number one is the suspension. It's really smooth and really light. The steering is super light, and it absorbs and cushions impacts, potholes, speed bumps, whatever, extremely well. It just feels like it's a lighter car than it is. It kind of glides over the road. There are no adaptive dampers, so you can't really get it to firm up and be sporty. Not that you would really want to do that very much in this car. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but it is still very capable. 0 to 60 in 4.5 to 5 seconds. But the number two thing you notice is it's very quiet. Even though it doesn't have like the super thick double glazed windows, even though it doesn't have active noise cancellation, it still rides very quietly on these 19-inch wheels, and that's nice and smooth and relaxing. And then you have these Burmeister speakers to hear whatever you're listening to in awesome quality. And then 3, the range is actually pretty good. It's an honest 300 miles of range. Right now it's showing me like 57 miles of range at 17%. I wish it had one pedal driving. You can adjust your regen with these little paddle shifters here, which is nice, and you can make the strongest regen all the way up, which I usually do. But I wish it had full one pedal driving. And then you just kind of just loaf around and cruise in this thing. It's not the sportiest. It is very much tuned to always be soft and relaxed. You do have a dynamic select button, and you can actually go to sport. It makes it quicker and more responsive on the accelerator, and it, I believe, makes the steering a little bit heavier, but obviously the dampers don't change, so it's a little sportier. But yeah, one thing also I noticed is the rear axle has a 2-speed gearbox while the front is a single. So as you're driving around, it can actually decouple the front totally, and you'll just drive on rear wheels for efficiency. But if you stomp on it, you'll actually feel that front axle pull you forward. And then at around 60 to 70 miles an hour, you actually feel a gear shift. You feel the car accelerate and slow down and then accelerate again as it shifts to second gear. So it's like a first gear for getting off the line quickly, and then a second higher gear for efficiency at highway cruising. And if you're accelerating through that, you feel the gear shift, which is neat. So the question is this a car that you should consider at this price? I definitely think so, yes. Like I said at the beginning, there's not a lot of options in this price range for a new electric sedan. So first of all, if that's what you want, it's like a Lucid beyond this, which is $90,000. But I also do think it's very well equipped, materials are really nice, and it is soft and luxurious. And if that's what you're after, obviously the Model 3 is not what you're getting. You're looking towards something like this. And I'm glad they make it. Hopefully they don't discontinue it like the i4 and the Model S and whatever else is out there. This is actually a really solid, underrated EV. So now you know. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.